Bears win. Bears are 2-1, a three-way tie for the NFC North as it stands with the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. Both are also 2-1. Vikings own the tiebreaker due to their win over the Green Bay Packers. But the Bears are 2-0 at home. The Bears are 2-3, or won two out of the last three. And what more do you want? I love a Bears win, especially at the last second. Cairo Santos redeeming himself at Soldier Field, making the kicks that are needed. So Bears win 23-20 over the Houston Texans. The most interesting win of the season by far. And I know it's a young season, but man, very, very weird because there were strengths, there was weaknesses, and we're here to break it all down. But Tony and I, as you guys know, we have our, various different topics of the day. We're going to talk about Justin Fields' criticism, and Tony and I haven't seen eye to eye on a few things, but Tony, before the episode, kind of told me, all right, I see a few things now, but I see a few things now. So we're going to talk about Justin Fields and his criticism. We're also going to talk about the strengths through the first three games for the Chicago Bears and why we have the best running back duo in the NFL. I'm just going to say that right now. And then 3 areas of improvement for the Chicago Bears moving forward. We will have later episodes later this week going over Khalil Herbert and the superstar that he's becoming, along with game preview of this week's matchup against the New York Giants. So, Tony, happy to see you as always. Those are our topics of the day. As we know, let's start with Justin Fields' critics. I'm not going to lie, I've been one of them in areas of his game. I know you've disagreed with me, and I've disagreed with you. How do you feel so far, just right now? What is your instant reaction of Justin Fields' play for 3 games?
So, whether the Justin Fields experience in general, I guess, if it ends up going up in flames like the Hindenburg or has a resurgence like GameStop in 2021. That was this whole little speech I prepared for you guys. I'm not getting off the train. Overall, I just want to put that out there. I'm not getting off the train.
And by no means am I saying jump off the train.
Yeah, I'm not saying Nick is necessarily. We'll see as the episode goes on. No, I'm not saying Nick is. But if you're on Twitter and even watching the games, like, you're hearing the little birdies are chirping for sure.
It's not just him, though. It's also the play calling. There has been some questionable.
He will get my unwavering support, mostly unwavering support for the most part, as we are professional experts, as we always say. I do have some negatives that show I'm not blind. I'm just biased, maybe. And Nick, if you want to hit us with the stats, and then I'll kind of give you the thing I saw that didn't change my mind, but definitely was like that wasn't good. I think that's the best way to describe it.
So, I mean, like, through 3 games, his stats are not sexy at all. Like, it's just where I'm fully admitting that I am underwhelmed by Justin Fields' play so far but it also is 3 games. He had a super strong camp, and I know people are like, Nick, camp doesn't matter. Camp matters. That's what kind of sets the tone for the rest of the season. I'm just being blatantly honest. And he looked really good. Come to gameplay, he doesn't look anything like he did in camp. He looks pretty just uncomfortable out there in the offense, which that's going to happen. A whole new playbook. Practically, he didn't have a rookie year because Matt Nagy just did not do any good for him. But, we've only seen a few big passing plays from Justin Fields so far. His feet, on the other hand, no problem. Against San Francisco, Fields went 8 for 17 with 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. 11 rushes, 28 yards. Against Green Bay, completely different story. 7 for 11, so I guess his completion percentage was better, but only 70 yards passing with an INT. He had 8 rushes for 20 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And this past Sunday against the Houston Texans, he went 8 for 17 again, but with 106 yards, 2 interceptions, 8 rushes for 47 yards. So, Tony, clearly his rushing is working for Fields. I fully admit that. He saw an opportunity for him to get yards against the Houston Texans, and he took complete advantage of it. But I am getting impatient now. I'm not like other fans saying, like, trade him, get assets, bench him. I saw Simeon, some people saying put Simeon in there, see if it works. I was like, okay, let's not get crazy. Like, I understand he's more of a veteran, but let's not get crazy about it. It is 3 games with a new playbook, but he is underperforming to the expectations that have been set by his coaches. And as fans, he is very much underperforming. So you look at it from both sides, glass half full. Like, yes, he's learning a new offense. Yes, everything else. But then glass half empty, like I just said, he's underwhelming. So Tony, I want to hear what you have to say, because I know that this is a very touchy subject with you. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, Tony will aggressively text me and be like, I hope you're not texting or talking poorly about Justin Fields at the game right now. Because I was at the game on Sunday. And I'm like, dude, how can you not complain about what's going on here? Tony, go ahead.
Yeah. So first thing, Trevor Siemian, I get his Northwestern product, and I, as someone who didn't go to Northwestern but just wants to pretend that Chicago has a Big Ten team, cool. Happy for Trevor Siemian for still being in the NFL. We've seen Trevor Siemian in the NFL. There's a reason he's backing up Justin Fields at the moment. So that's my answer to other people. Yeah, people saying maybe give Trevor Siemian a shot. He's got his shot. So Justin Fields, again, that's the topic. So here's my level of concern. Here's kind of one thing I saw, but the issue is, like you said, Nick, where it is only 3 games in, but I think the biggest problem is that it's kind of the same problems that we're seeing.
It's the same problems.
It's just kind of like, all right, well, okay, one mistake, we're gonna fix it, and they fix it. Cool, it's not an issue. But they know this, they know the mistakes, they've identified them, they haven't. So I saw an all 22 video breakdown of a play today from at the QB school. Very good follow if you want to just kind of learn more truly about the ins and outs of like a football play. He does a great job.
He does a great job.
It did not make a good case for Justin Fields' vision, awareness, or decision making. So there was the play where he ended up scampering for, it was like 40 yards, 30 yards, whatever it was. Picked up a big first down. It was 3rd and long. On the surface, looked like, wow, made a great play. Really, moved out of the pocket, avoided some rush. When you break it down, he missed arguably 2 open receivers. There was really one either way. Minimum, there was one. You could probably have thrown it to both. There's a little quasi smash concept on the outside off to his right. He ended up running to the left. They had quads right. And so the farthest outside receiver ran a little 5-yard in. And then he basically kind of worked back towards the sideline to draw the corner's attention. So then what happens is, and I know I should know like X, Y, Z, which of the receivers it is. We're just gonna make this easy. Second receiver from the right ends up running a K route or a sail route, so up like an outside hitch basically over the top. And it's supposed to be the quarterback is supposed to read, is the corner going to the guy, staying short? Is he going to the guy going long? And you go to the opposite. It's a classic play. If you've ever played Madden, done the training stuff, it is like the second thing you ever do. Not saying I could do it, to be clear, but it is just it's a simple route concept. Long story short, he was looking at it and just did nothing about it. And then ended up, finally after 5 seconds, great protection, by the way, fantastic protection. 5 seconds, the pocket finally breaks down. Then he runs and makes a great play with his feet. And again, I can never knock him for that because I love him to death. But that was kind of that one made me scratch my head. Like, what did he just, I don't know. Did he not see the corner move? Whatever it was, was he scared? Maybe he just didn't. He's been so scared of how the Bears have been playing and all the interceptions not all the interceptions, but some of the interceptions he's thrown. But long story short, doesn't build my confidence, didn't build his confidence. We are 2-1. Just want to remind everyone of that. We are 2-1.
I feel like Fields' confidence though is going down. Like you just said, like he had that opportunity and he saw that he could have thrown that ball, but he didn't. And that's kind of what's scaring me a little bit is that his mechanics look fine when he works his mechanics. Because he had a couple nice passes to Cole Kmet. He had a couple nice passes to Darnell Mooney, which shout out to him also for staying after the game for over an hour and just catching passes while everyone's leaving the stadium. Darnell Mooney was out there putting in work. Absolutely fantastic job. But he looks scared. And then on Sunday night, there was a couple my stories on Instagram going around that Justin Fields was working out at 10 o'clock at night, sweating, running, putting in work. I completely understand that. Being in good shape is a great thing. But on the field, mentally, Luke Getsy needs to sit down with him and talk to him about what's making him uncomfortable. Like, that's just kind of my area of concern at this point. Because he's a fantastic athlete. We see it. He's a competitor. But right now, he just doesn't look like himself. And that's starting to make me a little nervous right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's definitely It is a cause for concern. I don't, again, I'm going to go down with the ship here. I'm not going to throw out the "I'm concerned" phrase, but it is a cause for concern. I understand if other people are going to jump to conclusions, perhaps, and you're being given every reason to. So I can't necessarily fault you on it. I will keep banging the drum for Justin Fields for the time.
Yeah. And so moving on to the 3 strengths through 3 games of the Chicago Bears, which is a lot more than people think. I mean, the Bears are 2-1, like we've been saying. That's a lot better than a lot of people thought. A lot of people didn't even think the Bears would have won a game this year. So, one thing I do want to call out honorary mention is that the Bears have won 2 games at home already this year through 3 games. They only won 3 games at home all season last year. So just want to put that out there. Also, make sure that you guys go to the link in the description. It's a Facebook link to attend our Week 5 Murphy's Bears versus Vikings viewing party. Free beer while supplies last. We will have trivia as well, giving out shirts and other prizes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you RSVP so we know how many people are coming. We got folks coming from all over, might even have some special guests. So stay tuned for that. But we are very excited to see you guys there. But let's go into the 3 strengths of the Chicago Bears through 3 games. So, Tony, I'm just going to read them off real quick. The running offense looks absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to call Khalil Herbert specifically because he's arguably a top 5 back right now. Through 3 games right now, he has 240 rushing yards, which is 6th in the NFL. He has 7.3 yards per carry, which is 3rd in the NFL, and 3 total touchdowns, averaging a touchdown per game. Against San Francisco, he averaged 5 yards a carry with 45 yards and a touchdown. Against Green Bay, he averaged almost 10 yards a carry, no touchdowns. And against Houston, his breakout game, his career game, 20 carries for 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, filling in for an injured David Montgomery, who is day-to-day. Stay tuned for that. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in our next episode. But Herbert's doing fantastic, and that's a huge strength of the Chicago Bears so far. So, Tony, I know you've liked Khalil Herbert since day one, and you've kind of called this out, and I'm fully on the Khalil Herbert train now.
I drafted him in the rookie draft in my dynasty league. I've been banging the drum for Herbert for a while, just like I have been with Justin Fields, but I may have bet the right horse on this one. Maybe not the other one. We'll see. He's not better than Monty. Maybe not yet. Maybe in the future. Yet. I don't know. But and Nick, you've been saying it too, and I think a lot of people have come around to it. He's a weapon. We need to incorporate him more. Not really, it doesn't have to replace Montgomery, but he has to be incorporated into this offense somehow.
The Bears have a good problem.
Yeah, you couldn't be switching or just benching him. You got a weapon. Use it.
And Tristan Ebner is not bad either. I mean, the entire running back room, Ryan Poles has done a great job. And, a lot of fans obviously called out running backs are very replaceable. That's just what the league is. That's why you don't see running backs.
The Bears are actually kind of proving that a little by just constantly bringing in running backs. But not everyone does that. The Bears have just done a great job scouting, in my opinion.
I mean, Jeremy Langford in 2015 was good for a minute. Anyone can have their day. But, the Bears are doing a great job. And the Bears have the number 2 run blocking offensive line. So shout out to them. That's another strength. In the running game as a whole, the offensive line is definitely holding up their part. And you have a quarterback who can run it pretty well. So can't complain about that. But, those are definitely a huge strength of the Chicago Bears. And that's what's going to literally, no pun intended, carry this offense through the entire season, especially against the New York Giants. I'm excited to see that game, especially. And I think Montgomery's going to be back. Go ahead, Tony. What are you going to say?
Last comment real quick, just about Tristan Ebner.
Yes.
Ebner is his name. Surprisingly slower than I thought he'd be.
He's a power back.
He is. And I thought he was faster. So that was,
I
think it's just because he's short. I thought he'd be faster. So
I thought he was faster because he's our kick returner. And
Yep.
But the thing is, he bulldozes over special teamers. So, and he's only 5'10". He's not like a super tall guy. But could he absolutely bulldoze over me? By all means, he could.
Yeah.
So just want to put that out there. Throw me in some pads though. Maybe I'll get lucky. So number 2 strength of this team is the defensive secondary is on point. They're actually the number 10 secondary in the NFL as of right now through 3 games, only allowing 201 yards per game. Also, shout out to Eddie Jackson. I'm going to talk about him again in a minute, but he is 12-0 when he has an interception in a game. As long as people if you're a betting person and Eddie Jackson intercepts the ball, I want you going into whatever sport book you're in, if you're allowed to, and placing the money line because the Bears are going to win instantly after that pick. So very excited. I'm just happy about the overall fact that Eddie Jackson really is blossoming. And again, that truly shows that players work better in certain schemes. Great players are awesome in all schemes, but Eddie Jackson does well in the Matt Eberflus and Vic Fangio scheme, and that's when the safety is overly aggressive. Doing a great job so far. So I just wanted to call that out real quick. I know, Tony, you love the Ball Hawks, and they're doing a great job. And they didn't even have Jalen Johnson on Sunday, and they did a great job.
Yep, that was basically Ball Hawks. I love it. They're coming together. You nailed it with the stats. It's just fun to see the turnovers coming back to the Chicago defense.
It makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was so boring when we would be like, oh my God, just get him out of bounds. Like, no, like I would rather the Bears give up a 20-yard play and a guy diving for a ball because there was that chance over us giving up a 20-yard play because we're being too conservative. I'm just being fully honest there. But speaking of that, is that going back to Eddie Jackson, shout out to Roquan Smith and Eddie Jackson on this defense. They have taken the leadership role to a whole new level. Roquan Smith is now the number 1 tackler in the NFL with 36 tackles, total tackles after week 3, arguably the game-winning interception. And then also Roquan Smith is earning that money. Is he worth $20 million? I think Ryan Poles is doing a great job resetting the market, but he definitely is worth every single penny, whatever the Bears pay him. And then Eddie Jackson coming back. I just wish that Eddie Jackson wouldn't always do this in a contract year. It's just like, is he really doing it? If I'm Ryan Poles, I'm signing him to a 2-year contract after this, so he keeps playing well. But Bo Jack is back on my side. I'm back defending him for now. But his attitude's different. He's taking on more of a leadership role. He isn't cocky anymore. He's doing his job. And he understands that. I think he needed a coach like Matt Eberflus to do that. So, Tony, any more comments before we move to areas of improvement?
Yeah, guess we re-signed Roquan and franchise tag Eddie Jackson just multiple times in a row. Pay him like $100 billion, but it's only 1 year at a time, so that he keeps fighting for that. Not actually $100 billion, whatever it goes up. Escalators, it goes up.
It's funny you say that because I did see. I know we got to go into weaknesses. We don't have that many weaknesses, but it's funny. I did see that someone suggested that the Bears franchise tag Roquan Smith next year because then he will get that top money and then use that money, build an unreal team for next year. Talk to Roquan, pay him after. That's all I got to say. Let's go into quickly 3 areas of improvement. The number 1 is the offensive line. On paper, we were just talking highly of them. They are a top 10 offensive line, but there are plays where they just completely fold, like to the point where it's bad. They're a growing offensive line. That's why it's an area of an improvement, specifically the passing offensive line. The running, they're number 2. Can't deny that. Tony, any comments on that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the running game is just the exact opposite of their pass blocking at times. It is crazy. I don't know. I'm not an offensive lineman, definitely not in the NFL. I get it's a different set of fundamentals, but it blows my mind every time that we're gashing these teams for, I think Herbert had 9.5 yards a carry around halftime. And then also Fields had gotten sacked 4 times. Made no sense at all. So I'll call it a weakness because of the inconsistency, but it's wild. I don't know what to think yet.
And just quickly, 2 more. We talked about this before, but the run defense is still struggling a little bit. We gave up 200 plus rushing yard or 200 plus total yards against the Houston Texans. A lot of it came on the ground, especially late in the game. Pierce was ripping us apart at the end of the game. That's where it got a little tight. Bears need to do that. Bears also, I believe, only had 1 sack this past Sunday against a weak Houston Texans offensive line. So I was a little shocked about that, but they did play better, all things considered. Nicholas Moreau had himself a day. Roquan Smith had himself a day. Justin Jones, our guy, had himself a day. But the Bears need to continue to improve that run blocking. And the last one is, we kind of said it before, but Justin Fields' playing ability. And that's a huge area of improvement because once he does well, considering everyone is playing, like we said before, the Bears just need to play average this year because they have the 3rd easiest schedule. If Justin Fields just plays average, Bears are going to do very well this year going into the playoffs. Tony, any more comments before we close out?
Yep, 2 quick comments. One, I told you guys Dameon Pierce was going to give the Bears heck on our preview. Drafted him in Dynasty as well. I know my rookies. The run defense, it's brutal. That's definitely gonna continue to bite us in the booty as we go along. And number 2, bonus weakness. Cole Kmet, I'm not letting him off the hook because he caught a pass.
He caught two.
He caught two passes. I apologize. Exponentially multiplied his catches on the year. But I mean, it just still brutal out there. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe he need the confidence. Maybe need the confidence, and he's going to be great from now on. Who knows?
And against the Giants, I think that Cole Kmet could have himself a game. I don't think the Giants are doing that. I know they're undefeated, but the Giants have gotten away with some very questionable.
They're currently losing 6-3 as well at about halftime with Dallas driving again. So I think the Giants stink. We're going to win. We'll get into the predictions on another episode.
Well, stay tuned for that. That'll be Friday's episode, but we will have all of our thoughts on the Bears offense as a whole coming up on, what did we say, Tony? We're going to do that tomorrow night. Maybe we'll do a little live stream for the folks. We'll see. But stay tuned for that. But with that is our takes on Justin Field and the Bears' current team. 2-1, can't complain. That's a plus 500 record. Matt Eberflus is doing a fine job. Thank you, Ryan Poles, also for putting the team together. But with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my good friend and co-host Tony Cepeda, and we will see you guys tomorrow.